Hey, it's Rich, the Louisiana hobby guy. And today we're going to be talking about light burn and welding text and how to do it properly. If you know how to weld text properly, you'll wind up with something like this. And this is the Lord's Prayer, and there are some really small letters in here that are welded together. And if you notice, you can actually see the distinct lettering in all of these letters for this file. And we're going to talk about the way that I did this by adding another layer on top of the welded letters and doing node edits and adding lines so that you could distinctly see the difference between the two letters, even the little tiny ones all the way down to the bottom. And this file was inspired about 2 years ago. I started working, maybe longer, maybe 3 years ago. I started working on this and then sort of put it off to the side like I do with a lot of my files. I've probably got a couple of hundred that are in the making. And I happened to come across a video from my friend Eric over at Valley Forged, another YouTube channel, where he did this cross, a very similar cross to this. And it's his number one seller at craft shows, and actually is his main form of income, along with a couple of other items. He's very focused on just a few items like bottle openers and the Lord's Prayer cross and things like that. But today I want to show you in Lightburn how to do that. Before we get started, I want to say that my patrons already have this file. So I wanted to give a shout out to my patrons at this time of year and say thank you so much for your support. I also want to give a shout out during this time to another friend of mine, Irv Shapiro with Make With Tech, who spent a couple of months overseas. He went and volunteered in the relief effort over in Israel. So I wanted to give a shout out to Irv and say welcome back. He just came back. I'll put links down below to these channels if you want to go take a look at them. And I also want to say happy holidays to everybody in a more specific way. So whether you're celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ, I would say Merry Christmas to you. Whether you're celebrating Hanukkah, which is the festival of lights, I would say Happy Hanukkah. If you're celebrating Kwanzaa, which is the celebration of the first fruit in Africa, Happy Kwanzaa to you. What is it? Amasoko, I believe it is. The final day of the old year, where they're going to welcome in the new year in Japan, or Boxing Day maybe in the UK. I don't know if you've seen like older movies where you see somebody that says alms for the poor, like beggars in the street. Boxing Day in the UK, and they still do it in some places, is the day where they actually open those boxes in churches and distribute the alms for the poor, the money to the poor. So happy Boxing Day if you're in the UK. And everything else, and Merry Festivus, or all of the other things that people celebrate this year. I hope you have happy holidays. I say Merry Christmas. I also say happy holidays because I never know who's from where and what they celebrate. So happy holidays to you, whatever it is that you're celebrating. And today we're going to get into welding text, and I'm going to show you how I made this cross, and I'm also going to put a little surprise somewhere in the video for my faithful viewers who watch the channel and watch the entire video. There will be a surprise in there somewhere for you. So let's get started and jump over into Lightburn. With all of that said, happy holidays to everybody, and let's go. Okay, so let's get started, and here we are in Lightburn, and this is the file that I was talking about here. So this is my save file. I put all of my notes in here. I've got my 3 parts over here, and the cross over here is the part that we're talking about. So you can see that there are different colored lines in here, different layers. And let me show you how I created this. So we'll move off over here. I don't actually want to open a new file. We'll just start with something else. And I'll grab my text tool and just type anything over here like that. And the font that I used on this was, well, we'll just pick anyone. I'll pick Anton, and let's make this a little bigger so you can see what I'm doing here. So now we have a word, and obviously we can't cut this out. So if we were to put this on our cut path, all of these letters would just fall out. So I'm going to select this word, and I'm going to come up here to the top to horizontal spacing right there. And I'm going to change this horizontal spacing by using the down arrow. So let's use the down arrow, and you'll see it's starting to shrink, and it will eventually weld. And there you see that it's welded. But if you take a look right here, the H and the I have gone too far together. So in here is going to be an I. I'm just going to visualize that, and it's just a rectangle. So I'm going to put it back down like that, and now I have the entire word welded. But I want it to be more distinctive. So let's go ahead and make it more distinctive. Let's zoom in. Let's see if we've gone far enough with the I. That will be a double cut right there, so that's no good. I have to go just a bit, there we go, just a bit further, and I made a note that it's right about here is where the I is. So here comes the fun part. So now let me put this on my cut path, because now you'll be able to see what I'm doing a little bit better. So what I have to do is now make continue these letters and make it look like something you can read. So I'm going to come over here on the left side to Node Edit, and I'm going to click on Node Edit, and I'm going to just start adding nodes in here. And the first thing I have to do, as you can see, there are no nodes. So I have to come up here to Edit up at the top, and I have to convert this to a path, and then you'll see the nodes appear. And there they are. So now what I need to do is add my own nodes. So you'll see that the A stops right here. It's not actually an A. I'll zoom in. I'm rolling my mouse wheel to zoom all the way in. And I will take the pencil tool up here on the top left, and I'll click on that. And I'll find the end of the A here. And this doesn't really matter so much, because as long as you're close, that's all that matters. And I'll come down here to the bottom. Did you see it snap to the bottom? It'll snap into a bunch of different places. And I want to make a straight line, so I'm going to click right there. And now I'm going to right click or press escape to get rid of the line tool. Now I can select that line and put it on another path. So we'll put it on the black path as an example. Now I could have also extended the N instead. So you can do it either way. I could have extended the N, or I could have extended the A. So whichever way you want is fine. I think that the A should be a little more prominent in this one. But now let's keep going. So if we zoom way in, we need another line over here. So back to the pencil tool. We're going to come to the wait until it's a bullseye. Click. And this time I want to make sure that it's perfectly straight. So I'm going to hold the Shift key. And the Shift key will constrain it to go perfectly straight up and down or side to side. I'm going to click at the top and then right click to get rid of that line tool. And you see now we're getting distinct letters here. And there are a couple more that have to be done. I'll do this as quickly as possible. We'll click on this one here. I'm not going to hold the Shift key. I'm going to click up there and right click to get rid of it. So now the Y is overlapping there. I have to do the H like this. If I hold Shift, it'll constrain it. Click, right click. And now I also have to do the H over here. So this becomes more of a guessing, I guess you'll call it a guessing. So we want to do about, if I measure this, we want to do about, let's see, from here to here, we want it to be about, let me put it back into millimeters, somewhere in the area of 10 millimeters. So say OK. All I'm going to do is draw a line up here, and then I'm going to select it. And I'm going to set this at 10. It's at 11 right now. Wow, that was pretty close. I'm going to set it at 10 millimeters. I'm going to use this as my guide, and I'm just going to put this right here up against the side of the H, and that way I know I'm making a perfect H. And just to verify that, there's another way that you can do it. You can come to the text tool, you can type the letter H like that. This is a secondary way that you can do this, and you can drop this in right here, and you can edit the nodes for this. So that is the second way that you can do it. I'm just going to use the first way. I'll put that off to the side for now. So I'm going to zoom all the way in here, grab my pencil tool. I'm going to start right where that is, right there. I think that's about it right there. Now I'll zoom way out, drag the screen up by pressing my mouse wheel, hold shift to constrain it, and come all the way to the bottom, click, and then right click to get rid of it. I don't need my spacer anymore because I know that that's exactly where it's supposed to be. So now we've defined that H. Now the next thing we need to do is the I. And I'm going to guess that the I is going to be probably the same. And let me show you the other way to do this. We can just type the I like that. And then we can take and size it to the same size as this, which it already is because we're creating same layers. At this point, you could theoretically dock this right up against that line. So if we grab the corner, we could snap it in just like that and leave it alone, and it'll just do two lines there, and that might be a good thing. But there's another way that you can do this as well. You can just come back to Node Edit over here, select the I, go to Edit, Convert to Path, and now you'll see here's our origin, and there are 4 nodes. So if I put my mouse directly over my origin, you see that node. Let me zoom in. If I press the letter B on the keyboard, letter B, it just broke that node. So you see that? So that node is broken. I can drag the other one off. And then if I come to the bottom and put my mouse over this one and press the B key on the keyboard, you'll see that this one has now broken. So now, and let me just get this back in the right spot. So now all of these are broken. I can get my selector tool, and they're all selected, so I don't want that. I just want these selected, and press the delete key. And that's the second way that you can do this. And here is where you might want to use an actual letter over on the end, but we're not going to. So now I'm just going to select this one. I'm going to grab the arrows, move it off to the side so I can see the line, and just extend it down to the bottom. So now we have an almost complete letter, and this was a good word to choose because what we want to do is you typically right now you'd want to just do the N because we've done the right side of all of these, but I just want to show you how you do the rounded ones. So I will click over here with the pencil tool, and I'll come down to the bottom and click over there, and we'll pretend like we're doing the N, but we're really not. So I'm going to select that one right there, come over to the Node Edit tool, and you'll see that we now have the origin and the end. And if I put my mouse anywhere over this line and press the M key, letter M like Mary, it will put a node right directly in the middle. And then if I put my mouse over that, I can press the S key. But you have to be careful here, because if you press the S key with your mouse here, it will only smooth this side. If you press the letter S over here, it will only smooth this side from this node to this node. So you have to be directly over this one and press the letter S, and that just smooths everything. Now if I hold Control and grab this center node, I can now shape my letter G, and however you think it's shaped, I think it's shaped something like that, right about there. And I'm going to move these handles to make them a little smoother, even though this will not show up because it'll be such a small engraving. And there, I think if we go to the selector tool, you can now see that we have the word anything that will actually be readable if you cut these letters out. So now this red line will do all of the cutting, and actually you want to have the black come first, do all of the engraving, and set the black layer to a pretty good speed and power. You want it to burn hot so that you get a good distinct line. The black line will come and burn all of those lines without cutting anything, and then the red layer will come back and cut everything out, and you will have one complete word that is welded together. So now I know someone in the audience is going to point out that I did this wrong. So I have the letters overlapping from left to right, and I did not do that with the T. So let's go ahead and fix that, because rather than get the comments, there are going to be people that are going to make this comment. So I'm going to fix this. So I'm going to take my 10 millimeter line once again, and I'm going to draw it out right here. I'm going to select it, and I'm going to set this to 10 because I know that that's the width of the letters, and I'm going to use this one as my guide over here. And that is probably, no, it should be 10 millimeters. Well, you know what? This is not 10 millimeters. So this would be a good case where I would take the letter T and use that. Oh, I see. It is an odd looking T. So I'll use the letter T as my guide this time instead. And I'll bring this in. Let me get rid of this one. And that is almost in the right spot. As you can see, when I squish them, this is slightly different. So I'm going to hold Control, and I'm going to make this T the same size. Or actually, I don't have to hold Control. I'll just do this side first and this side second. And now I have the exact T that I was working with earlier. So now I'm going to go back to Node Edit again. I'm going to go to Edit, Convert to Path, and there are my nodes right there. And what I want to do, I just want this one node right here. So I'm going to put my mouse over that one. I'm going to press the letter B to break that. I'm going to put my mouse over this one, press the letter B to break that one. Now I'll come back to the selector tool, just select these and delete them. And now I have what I was looking for there. So there is the actual T, and it's fixed, and now all of the letters overlap from left to right, which is the way it's supposed to be. And of course, over here, I just wanted to show you how this G works if you needed to do a smooth line, which in this case we didn't. So what we wanted to do here was just extend this one down to here. And now that is the way that the letters should be done, with all of the letters overlapping from left to right. And I know that somebody was going to point that out. So that's the reason why I did it. And like I said, on the G, I just wanted to show you how to shape them. Another thing too is that you can do lines like this one here. So let me show you that. You don't have to bring the letter in. So if I were to come to the line tool and start right here, now that I know about where it is, I can click there, hold Shift to constrain it, come down to here. Let me zoom in a little bit. I'm going to hold Shift and Control, And right about there, I will click again, and now I can come over here, click again. So you can keep clicking and get the same results if you know where it's supposed to be. So the way that the line tool works is wherever you click, it creates a point, a node. So you can do this any way that you want, and you can actually click and drag as well and do some really cool things with the pencil tool. So that, I just wanted to point that out because I knew that one of you, my viewers, are very astute to things like this. So now every letter overlaps from left to right, which is the way that this is supposed to be. Okay, so with all of that said now, I want to jump back over to the file and show you a little bit more about this file that you can get at my store, engraveandcutfiles.com. And let's jump over into Lightburn real quick. I have created an art library over here called Our Father, and in this art library, let me make this a little larger so that you can see it, are all of the files. So we've got the 8 by 11 file. We've got the base, the middle, and the top for an 8 by 11, and this was designed for 3mm wood. We've got the 15-inch, the 10 by 15, which will fit on all 400 by 400 or larger lasers, or even some smaller. And then we've got the base for the 15-inch over here. And the only difference is that the line that's in the middle here is a different size. That's all, a different width. Then I've got the settings, and these were for me personally for the 30-watt diode laser, and I cut back the speed quite a bit. I would also suggest, if you get this file, that whatever cut speed your laser can cut at, this particular laser was able to cut, I believe it was at 750 or somewhere like that, 3mm wood, and I scaled that cut layer way back to 575. So I took that number way down because of all of the intricate cuts. I want to make sure that every piece, no matter how small, drops out. There's also a cut test in this library as well. So let me show you a little different way on here. So if we start up here at the top and we double clicked on that cut test, for example, brought it out to the laser, this is what would come out right here. And the blue is just the toolpath. You don't have to worry about that. It's just naming what the actual file is. But if we zoom way in on here, you'll see that I've taken the word trespasses, and I've made this the actual size so that you can see and test without wasting too much material these little cutouts in here to make sure that these cutouts are going to drop out cleanly and you don't have to fiddle with poking all of the pieces out. So if we come down here, I took the smallest letters that I had, which is right here, trespasses, and you'll see that if I bring this over here, it fits right over that. And that's, there we go. And that is, these are the smallest letters in this file. So if you can run this cut test, which is only 1 inch by a 1/2 inch, that way you don't waste. You can use some scrap wood and you can test it, and you can make sure that you can cut this before you start. The other thing that you have to make sure of is that you want your layers that are going to engrave these here to cut first. And let me show you those. Let me turn off the others. So there are 300 and something engraves in here. So this is a very complex file. Your laser will have no problem running it. That is the first layer, which is going to be the engrave layer. The second layer is going to be the cut layer, so I can turn that back on. It'll come back and cut all of that out. When you bring this over, these files over, there's a lot of small detail on here. Again, these are just names. They're on a toolpath. They're not going to cut. And this is I've got a few things in here. So here is the cross of the Trinity, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Going around the outside of the middle layer, around the outside of the base layer. This is a Father's prayer, and it goes all the way. There's just a few quotes here that go all the way around. It actually comes out really, really nice. Plus, it gives you a way to position your layers. So you would start with this base layer, and then you'd put this middle layer on top of the base, and then this is the very top layer here. There are two of these, one for the 8-inch cross and one for the 15-inch, or the 10-inch and the 15-inch. I'm sorry, 11.8 is the 8 by 11, and 10 by 15 is the larger one. The only difference between these two over in the library is that this little cutout right here for the cross to fit into is a different size. That's all. It's a different width. Down at the bottom, across the bottom, there will be a score line that comes all the way across here in black, and that score line is just so when you fit this into the base, you can see how far down it has to go and make sure that it's level so it's standing straight and it doesn't rock. And I've rounded the edges of the bottom here so that it will fit nicely into that slot. This is the entire, everything that's in the library. If I were to select everything and delete it, and then come back over here and go to the library. So if I'm doing the 8-inch cross, I would just double click on this 8-inch and get that out like that. And then I would, first thing I would do is bring out this cut test. That would be my first thing to do. Then I would do the 8-inch, and let me make this a little bigger so I can see it better. And then I would double click on the 8 by 11 base so that I have the 3 bases over here off to the side. So I would take this cross, move it off to the side over here, take this cut test and put it somewhere on my workbed, let's say right about there. And that is the first job that I'm going to run. So if all of these letters cut out cleanly and all of these pieces drop right out, and you may need to use like a little X-Acto knife or something like that to poke out the smaller pieces in here. But if this all cuts out cleanly, this little part here drops out right here. And if this little part here drops right out, and this little part here, where you can just pop them right out without having any chads or any problems, then you can go ahead and delete this and bring in your cross and start working on cutting out your cross. That would be the second part of the job. And then finally, you do the 3 pieces for the base, and that's it. So someone did ask me on the LMR, the Laser Makers Realm, last Sunday. We did a live stream, and Pop Moose asked me if I could do a video on how to create all of these distinct lines in here, and that's the purpose of this video today. So thank you, Pop. This video is for you. But I just wanted to say, when you glue these pieces together, you're going to start with the base, and I usually just put 4 dabs of glue over here, little dots, and then I put a big circle in the middle of the glue, put the middle piece on top of it, and then use this text as a guide so that you can position it in place. Put 2 clamps on it, one on either side, one here, one here. Then you can do some really fine positioning using your thumbs, just getting it in the perfect spot. And once it's in the perfect spot, leave it for 3 or 4 minutes until it tacks. Most wood glue will tack in about 3 or 4 minutes. You can use wood glue, you can use Elmer's school glue, and I always choose clear glues, because in case any of it seeps out on the side, it'll dry clear and you won't see it. Once you've got that one in place, then you're just going to take the final one, this one here, put it on top of this one, and use the same text to position it with the same 2 clamp method. Once you've got everything positioned and tacked up after 3, 4, 5 minutes, then you can put more clamps around the outside of the whole piece. There you go. That's the entire project right there. I hope you take advantage of the file. This happens to be a fantastic file. Everyone that's seen it in the last week has wanted one. So I am right now running these off in the shop next door. Not right this moment, but after this video, I will go back and run the next one. So I think I've got 7 of them to do right now that people wanted, and specifically said, don't get me a Christmas gift. I want one of those. So that's about it for this video. I hope you enjoyed the video today. I hope you learned something with me on node editing and how to make your letters stand out when you're welding your text, and how to weld text without using the weld command, using the auto-weld. So I want to thank you for watching. I hope you all enjoy your holidays this year, and I'll see you in the next one.